So in the past few months, you've seen Sienna roll out the adaptive network, right? It's all over our marketing. I know internal people, we all know that. We've seen the presentations and the different marketing material on our website, and then customers, you might have seen that in some of our materials on our website and in our presentations and things like that. And so, when I think about programs adapting, you have to have a condition, and then you have to have an action that happens as a result of that condition. You have to have if this, then that. And that's our project. So if this, then that, we didn't come up with that. That's actually a real thing. It's an app that actually interacts with different services such as Gmail, Pinterest, mostly social media type sites. And you can set up conditions in your phone. Actually, it's an app that you can download to your device. And you can set up conditions, then it will react to those conditions. So this is lifted kind of straight from Wikipedia, but it basically says it's a web-based service used to create chains of multiple conditional statements called applets, okay? And so you can see this recipe should actually say applet. It's kind of an outdated snapshot that I got. But this whole statement here, this whole if this then that, is your applet, okay? And it's made of your two basic components. Your trigger, which is this, and your action, which is that. Pretty cool. Pretty simple, right? And it's pronounced gift without the G, ift, okay? And and it's pronounced GIF, okay? So here is a simple flow chart of a basic implementation of IFTTT. Basically, you set up a monitor that monitors for new Google Calendar events, and then it adds a task for your calendar event to an app like Toodle Do. I don't know, does anyone use that? Does anyone use Toodle Do in here? Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. Okay. They should expand their marketing a little bit. So simple stuff. And so people have created really cool projects based on this kind of stuff. For example, get an email if it will rain tomorrow, okay? Monitors the weather. If rain, get an email, okay? Let's see. Google Home, find my phone, okay? Hey, Google, find my phone. And then your phone rings or makes a loud noise or gets up and dances. Execute order 66. Okay, someone made this one to interact with your Google Home. If you say, okay, Google, execute order 66, then it plays the Darth Vader theme. Okay, so there's interesting stuff that you can do with this kind of stuff. But this is actually really applicable to what we kind of want to do with orchestration, and especially for someone like Gladius, correct? Because we can set up conditional statements, and then we can have our network react to those conditions, correct? So for us, we just wanted to do a simple use case. We wanted to generate a Kafka alarm with a specified severity, so we could use just a single event, and then our severity kind of is our if statements. It kind of creates our triggers, right? It's very simple. A special shout out to Bruce for providing some of that code. We actually adapted some of the stuff that he did at the London Hackathon for the project we did here. Okay, so our basic, our if this then that statements, or our applets technically, is if the severity is critical, instantiate a new VNF. Like if something's going really wrong, we need a new network function, stat, right? If the severity is major, maybe we don't need to set up a new VNF completely, but I want to know about it. So we have send a tweet as an alert. Okay, so we were able to get into the Twitter API, and we created a kind of a fake account for us to run this test. Okay, so we have our trigger, and then we have our actions. If this, then that. Okay, so this is basically our resource hierarchy in Blue Planet. We have the IFTTT resource, which creates the monitor and the action, and then it links these two with a relationship. So the monitor can trigger the action. This is our Bruce code, adapted Bruce code, right here that creates an alarm generator on the Kafka bus. So this monitor is waiting for an alarm on the Kafka bus to trigger this action. And what's interesting, and Chris kind of came up with this and it's pretty clever, you can actually have this abstract IFTTT actions to derive this. So you can have a set number of actions or like a drop-down menu of actions that you want to create. So every time you want to set up an IFTTT, you don't have to create a new action. Okay, so I thought that was pretty slick. So Chris is going to take this over. He's going to do a quick demo for us, and then I guess we can take questions.
All right, so yeah, we created this abstract IFTT action. So that's your kind of base class for building different actions. So we over this hackathon made one for Twitter and one for instantiating a VNF, and then you can pull those into the IFTTT service template to run any of them. So this is our alarm generator. Created a couple of these. So just let us create some alarm events on the Kafka bus so that our IFTT action will be able to respond to those. And then so these are the different apps we kind of built that are based off of that abstract class. So I went ahead and made a Twitter one already, just so y'all can see. So basically just kind of does some data collection, and then it has its own operation built in. And that's requirements kind of defined by that abstract class. And so we'll go ahead and make a new instance of the VNF action here as well. So, give it a name. And so that's the network service that we'll actually instantiate, and it's an encryptor chained to a firewall, so actually two VNFs that'll get spun up when we receive an alarm. And then we'll put it on this mock VM. Yep. All right, so now we created that. Your next step would be to actually create, you have like this instance of an applet, has your settings. The next step would be to actually create the if this then that resource. So so I already created one again for the sending a tweet. So we'll make one for the VNF. So here you put the topic and event and condition that you want to listen to from the Kafka bus. So this will be the alarms, specifically an alarm event. And then we only want to respond when the severity is critical. So then we can pick from our actions drop down. This will be the VNF alarm that we just created. And then instantiate that. So right now it's actually going now, creating that alarm, and then building a relationship between itself and that VNF action that we defined earlier. So you can kind of see that relationship there. So now I guess we come here and we actually monitor this. Go to come to our alarm generator. So for the first one, we'll just generate a minor alarm, and so that should actually send a tweet. So if we trigger an alarm, so this is just putting an alarm on the bus. Really, you'd expect this to come from any other like more defined conditions. So maybe the analytics is noticing some degradation of the network somewhere, so it's going to throw an alarm. You can capture that with the IFTT, and it'll kick off the instantiation. So you see we got a new tweet. It says minor alarm was triggered. We get a hashtag for it and everything. So now if we actually go trigger in a major alarm, we'll be able to watch the whole instantiation process of those VNFs. Alright, so alarm's been created. So we actually come to our VNF that we're running. You see the operation is kicked off here to create that VNF, and then we can actually come down into the NFVO operational view, kind of watch that VNF as it gets instantiated. And finally we'll be able to pull up the visualization of that. So we kind of designed this in a way so that everybody can use that abstract class. If you derive from that abstract class, then you're going to have everything you needed to create your own, applet action. So whether it's send a message to Slack instead of Twitter, or spin up some different resources, or connect to a certain device, you can really define any action that way.
This is kind of the first steps in closed-loop automation.
Yes.
Well, how much are you using of the policy engine versus stuff you're doing now?
The only thing that's, from Policy Engine we're using right now is the monitors, the default monitor resource. So we just kind of grab that information from our top layer form of what event to monitor, and then it knows how to send off that exec operation, is what we called it. So it kicks off that exec operation when it hits an event. We come down then. So now you can see the actual network service that we instantiated. So we have this kind of mock encryptor chained to firewall, all running on a mock VM. It happens instantly when you send any major alarm, the way it's configured right now. Any questions?